We're going to talk to Chief Justice Mark Martin of the North Carolina Supreme Court today about the use of technology in his chambers. Let's just start with that pretty fundamental question. How does technology here in the 21st century affect the flow of work in your chambers?
Well, I was first appointed as judge in 1992. So think about all of the generations of technology that have taken place since that time. We did not even have computers as judges at that point on the trial court. And if you recall, the internet was not being used in civilian applications at that point. And so I think I can say with great confidence that we've seen just incredible changes in technology that judges use each and every day, just as we've seen the same generations of technology that attorneys are now looking at, the advent of e-discovery and all of the differences that lawyers work with now in terms of technology that we didn't, just a few decades ago.
Right.
And so the changes have been profound. They have, I think, also been very positive changes. They increase efficiency in a good way, increase the ability of courts to handle more cases and to, with these resources, computer-assisted legal research and the ability to make revisions more easily to opinions and other draft documents. Hopefully we are increasing our ability to have just outcomes in our courts.
And does that extend all the way through the system, the court system throughout the state of North Carolina?
Well, it does, but we have so many more improvements that need to be made. And so a little bit over a year ago, I convened a commission on the administration of law and justice, and one of the 5 areas of inquiry and emphasis was to determine ways in which we could incorporate new technology to really help us even more to use technology to help us be more efficient in our operations. We were the first state Supreme Court in the country to have e-filing at the state Supreme Court level, and we were a leader. Since that time, we began to fall behind some of the other states, and now we are trying to move toward a situation where we have e-filing in all courts, but we have not yet accomplished that.
Yeah. So obviously, once you install the technology and everyone is up to speed on its use, it makes everything more efficient, but there's a cost associated with it.
Right.
Is that a challenge, finding the resources to invest to acquire the technology that you need?
As in many states, capital expenditures go through a different process in terms of our discourse with the legislative branch. So we are first looking to that possibility, capital funding for these new projects. I found it interesting how Kentucky was able to handle this in the absence of capital funding for these purposes. They actually, a bond issue was approved and the voters ratified it. So we're looking at a couple possibilities to actually have the funding to install the infrastructure that'll be necessary for the e-filing system.
So let's come back, one final question. Coming back to your court, how does technology affect your ability to work with your law clerks?
Well, it's totally revolutionized it. When I first joined the Supreme Court, and I had previously served on our intermediate appellate court, the North Carolina Court of Appeals, we had pretty intense firewalls on the servers for both courts, and documents were not accessible remote. Transcripts were still hard copy and boxes that would be brought in. And now we're emerging toward the same technology platforms that law firms utilize, where documents can be remotely accessed for both law clerks and the appellate judges and justices. And so I think it makes us a whole lot more efficient. And of course, we can send around draft opinions. We can do things in a remote way. I'm not sure the law clerks always appreciate it because it does lead to a lot of weekend and evening work, but in terms of getting the work of the public done, the work of the court done, it has been a very, very positive development.
Well, that's terrific, and thank you for being with us today, Chief Justice Martin.
Thank you, Ralph.